What's up, everyone? You're listening to Pat's Chat Podcast, which is a proud member of the CLNS Media Network. Make sure to hit subscribe on the Pat's Chat YouTube channel, on Patriots Press Pass. Turn on notifications for when a new video drops on the channel. Subscribe to the Pat's Chat Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, I'm Doug Kyed. I'm always joined by Michael Hurley, except for the last show, which was a bonus episode when I wasn't joined by Michael Hurley. So Michael Hurley is actually back.
Yeah. Headline.
Michael, we're both wearing blue sweatshirts and hats. How are you doing?
Wait, you're wearing a blue sweatshirt?
It's a blue camo sweatshirt.
Is it? It looks
That's
very
how it was
gray.
advertised. It's pretty blue in person.
Okay, this is like a blue-pink dress situation.
Oh.
That looks gray to me.
Oh, okay. It's like a bluish gray. When you see it in person, it's pretty blue.
Because
yours is more blue.
Your hat brim is, what would you call that?
Teal.
Green. That's teal. The sweatshirt doesn't look like it's in the same family.
Interesting.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my vision. But anyways, what's up? How was?
Doing all right.
So you sound better.
I went to the doctor.
Did you listen back to yourself from the other day?
Yeah, I did. I sounded a little bit weird.
It was a little freaky.
I think it was the combination of being sick, of having a different microphone, because that makes a difference.
I don't think that was it.
And then also, as we mentioned at the combine, you're usually out pretty late. And usually if you're like in a bar setting, you're just kind of like talking loudly so that people can hear you.
Yeah.
So then your voice gets a little bit hoarse anyway. But
plus, I don't know about you, but those, I guess maybe not. Well, yeah, in winter, the heating / AC in a hotel room, that'll dry you right out.
I could not believe how dry I've been. My entire body. I feel like, like, you know how like you're like you in a movie, there's like a mummy situation where like he gets hit or something and then just like dust flies out of its mouth. Yeah. Or maybe that happened in Hocus Pocus also.
It could have.
That's how I felt at times.
Yeah.
Because I'm also I've been taking like Dayquil and ibuprofen and all these things, which also just dry you out.
Dry chat. This is dry chat.
But I went to the doctor. I'm on antibiotics. I'm feeling better.
All right.
Things are good. I've been spraying things up my nose.
Yeah. Tell you what's dry on my body. It's my eyes from reading a 45,000 word story in the Boston Herald by Doug Kyed and Andrew Callahan. So it was a story. I don't remember what it was about. It was too long. I got lost. Could you help me out?
Wow. Theo Deasenhouse said, I've never seen more gray than Doug's sweatshirt.
You said it was blue. And I was like, do I need to call an ambulance for one of us?
I promise you that in person, this sweatshirt has blue tones. Olivia even said today that she liked my sweatshirt. I said, do you like that it's blue or do you like that it's camo?
Sounds like you were like gaslighting.
And she said, I like both.
Yeah, I like your sweatshirt, Dad. Yeah, do you like the fact that it's blue? Because it's blue, right? Don't you like the blueness of it?
Listen, when I ordered this sweatshirt, it said it was a blue camo.
Send a picture. Take a picture right now. I'm not doing a podcast with this. I will not work under these circumstances.
All right.
It looks nice. I think we're distracting. Getting the right angle.
It looks a little. See, in person, this thing looks very blue.
Okay.
But now, even like when I'm taking a picture of it, it looks like it's like almost like brown.
Wow. It's one of those magic shirts.
I don't know. All right. Well, we should probably move on.
I refuse to. So when I get this text message, I'll move on. And if it's blue, I will happily move on. And if it's not, this is the last Pat's chat.
This is great for our audio listeners.
Well, they'll be very intrigued. And all right, there's the text, 2 photos, buddy. You know what? The what looks like maybe white on the stream is bluish, like bluish grade, but that's a gray sweatshirt.
Hold on. I'm going to send you a link. Send you a link.
And it's like a periwinkle dusting. That's what I would say.
I sent you a link.
Okay, I'm going to click it on my computer.
The color officially is blue camo.
It looks bluer in the picture,
Yeah. See?
but it's not that blue. I don't know. It doesn't look like what you're wearing. Abercrombie, huh?
Yeah, it's an Abercrombie hoodie.
Hell
It's
yeah.
comfy.
Some cologne in there?
I got it on sale. It was like
Wow.
30 or 40 bucks.
I'm actually the luckiest guy. Every time I go to the mall, it's when the sales are happening. They're like, Mike's here. Turn the sales on. Everyone else buys full price, not me. Not when I
It's
go.
huge.
All right. So the NFL Combine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scouting combine.
Want to see what stood out to me the most?
What?
Let's think. I mean,
so Andrew and I,
you had
we were at the combine from Monday. Well, I was there from Monday to Friday. He was there from Tuesday to Friday. When you're at the combine, you're talking to a bunch of people. There's like almost every executive scout, coach, whatever from the Patriots is there. There's executive scouts, coaches from every other team. I have been going to this event. The first one was in 2015. So I know a lot of people now there at this point. Gotten to know a lot of people in the Patriots on other teams. So what you do is you talk to as many people as you can. There's on the record stuff with Elliot Wolf and Mike Vrabel, and then there's a bunch of off the record stuff, which is what we used for this piece.
I gotta block the number.
Uh-oh.
Can you read that now?
Kyed had a gray sweatshirt. No questions. No. See, this is messed up. I sent you the link, okay?
Yeah, the link. I'm just saying with my eyes. So you started with AJ Brown in your story, and you used the word unserious. So to get AJ Brown right now, you probably have to give up 2 first-round picks,
or like a first plus, maybe. Yeah.
And that's unserious,
right?
No one's doing
because
that.
I mean, DK Metcalf was traded last year for what, a second-round pick? It was like
a second and then a late-round pick swap,
right? So, and AJ Brown, better player throughout his career, drafted the same year, but older. And yeah, I mean, like I could see you giving up more than you did for DK Metcalf. And I think that's kind of what people feel like is the appropriate given rate for AJ Brown.
52 in a pick swap.
But you don't want to like double the value of what the Seahawks got for DK Metcalf for AJ Brown.
And that contract just feels like too much of an albatross for it to really, like, I'll talk about it. I think it's a great way for the Patriots to get better.
Yeah.
I don't see the Eagles really doing it unless they get that unserious offer. So to me, it's sort of that story we talk about that in 6 months we pretend we never did.
See, I would agree. And I'm glad that you brought up the contract on our last podcast, because like that led me to be like, hey, what about his contract from the Eagles side? And it was funny because we talked to on Friday 2 like pretty high ranking members of the Patriots. And one of them, I said, like, what about this deal from the Eagles perspective? And the person said, I haven't really looked at it from like the Eagles perspective, only from our perspective. And then the other person I talked to did say, like, yeah, it seems like it's kind of difficult to move, but if anyone can figure it out, it's Howie Roseman. But he's like, if you do trade him and you have to subtract $20 million from your cap space, there's other ways to free that back up. Like they can just do some contract restructures, extensions, whatever. Like they don't really treat their cap the same way that the Patriots do. But it's not something that you necessarily want to take on. That being said, if you do trade it, like you don't have to pay him his $30 million option in September. So that helps you from a contractual salary situation, you know?
Sure. You got dollars to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the salary cap is what it is, but there are certain things that if they felt like they had to move him, they would. But I'm not convinced that they are at that point.
Right. I think that the case for moving him is if you're all in on Jalen Hurts. I don't know if I said this on the last podcast, but if you're all in on Jalen Hurts on the Eagles' perspective, and you think that AJ Brown is going to be a detriment to that like you can't sell the team on Jalen Hurts if AJ Brown is still a part of your roster, then that's enough to move him. But like
he's going to be the quarterback next year.
No, he is. So, and if you think that AJ Brown is going to bring down the ship because he's so sick of Jalen Hurts throwing him the ball, then maybe you have to make that move. And I would say that I also maybe wouldn't take this that seriously, but like Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer wrote about this possibility of trading AJ Brown. I think we spoke to other Eagles beat writers who did not think that this was a crazy situation. So yeah, the Patriots have explored it. The asking price is currently unserious, and you kind of progress from there because this is a situation where obviously any team would prefer to acquire him before free agency starts so that you know what your plan is. If not, you would prefer to acquire him before the draft.
Yeah.
And if not, then you would prefer to acquire him before the season. But this contract is as such that the real deadline is probably like September 1st because that's when that option hits.
Yeah. The Eagles, though, would be screwing themselves, too, because they're getting draft picks for a draft that's a year out. And
yes, absolutely.
There's a season to be played.
Draft, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's from a Patriots perspective, makes a lot of sense, not at an unserious offer level, but I don't know. 31 isn't that unserious if that's all it is, but 31 plus.
Does it look more blue now?
Oh my God. No.
All right, sorry.
No. Yeah, I would just.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel real. And then you went into Max Crosby.
Yep.
Which is kind of how we, or at least I thought about it. It doesn't feel like the Raiders are motivated to trade Max Crosby.
Right. And I don't think that they are because he's their best player. It's a premium position. And once again, that's one where they're asking for the moon or they're asking for the stars and maybe they hit the moon on that offer. Sorry, I was drinking a seltzer. It's making me very burpy. Hopefully you guys can't hear that.
Hopefully Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't listening because, it's a bit of a misnomer.
Well, you shoot for the stars and land on the moon?
Usually it's you shoot for the moon and then land on the stars. But that's just...
Really?
It's just... Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because the star's way farther away than the moon.
Yeah. I would shoot for the sun and land on the moon, maybe.
You're going to shoot for the sun?
Yeah. It's further away than the moon.
Yeah, but it'll burn you right up.
So will stars.
The stars. Touche. Stars are the same as the sun.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, and like this is another one where right now reportedly they're asking for 2 firsts and a player, which is ridiculous. You're not going to get the same thing for Max Crosby that you did for Micah Parsons. But it's another situation where like, yeah, it's a player that if you have to trade your first round pick and maybe a mid round pick, and maybe if you have to throw in a player, like Max Crosby is the type of player that is probably worth that because it's the 31st overall pick. You're not going to acquire a player with that first round pick who is going to be as disruptive and productive and consistent and everything that Max Crosby is. And if you do want to get back to the Super Bowl, which I would assume the Patriots would like to do, you need a premier player on defense. You need another premier player to match with Christian Gonzalez. And I don't know how you consider Milton Williams, but with him as well. So we just got a comment in here. Not trading for guys like this when you need depth. I mean, yeah, the Patriots need depth, but they have some depth at edge. Like you want another starter right now.
Yeah, I think you need depth across the roster.
And you could also still trade for Max Crosby and still acquire depth. And like all the Patriots have at wide receiver right now is depth. So if you trade for AJ Brown, you've already got built-in depth at wide receiver. Like yes, the Patriots do overall need depth, but you don't need to spend a ton of money on depth.
Well, I think the thought is to not give up any draft picks, considering you need to fill out the roster, which is true. But I don't think you're going to hit on 7 guys again after you did it last year.
No,
you were restarting last year. You need to hit on your picks this year, but you can probably afford if the upshot, and I think Brown is more significant than Crosby. If the upshot is a game changer who can elevate, like everyone looked at the Patriots against the Seahawks as rightful underdogs because they weren't there. If you can get someone that could bring that a bit closer to the best team in the NFC. Like, you understand what I'm saying.
Right. And depth is a need on the roster, but the Patriots' biggest needs right now are at edge and at offensive firepower, and
Sure.
whatever you want to call that, preferably at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So like those are the ways that you can get back to the Super Bowl. You can, as I said, you can build depth in free agency. You can build depth for the draft. You don't need to spend first and second round picks on depth. You want first and second round picks to be playmakers. And I think it's pretty unrealistic to think that the Patriots could trade for AJ Brown and Max Crosby. But if they can trade for one of those guys, that's massive for helping them not only in 2026, but also maybe 2027 and beyond as well.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When a team gives up a massive package for a player,
Mm-hmm.
does it ever work out for the team that gives up the massive package? Like the Herschel Walker trade is the most, sort of significant trade where the Cowboys used all those picks to turn into a dynasty. In terms of like the best trades of all time, it's when teams give up a fourth and a sixth for a distressed asset.
Yeah, and right, but so like a team giving up like
Micah Parsons was a huge trade. We can't say it did or didn't work out.
In the interim, work out for the Packers. Is a first, a fourth, and
a player,
mid-level player massive?
No, but 2 firsts is massive.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's giving up for two firsts for Max.
Did the Panthers do that for Bryce Young?
Yes, and obviously I think so, and that didn't work out, obviously.
Right?
The 49ers did for Trey Lance.
49ers did it for Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But nothing bad ever happens to the Niners, so it didn't matter.
You see that Trey Lance's brother ran like a 4.36?
No.
He's like a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver, ran like a 4.36 40.
Did Shanahan see that?
Apparently so I hope this wasn't a fake quote.
Uh-oh.
But apparently when the 49ers drafted Trey Lance, John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan or someone was like, we really want his brother too. So maybe they'll draft his brother.
Fair enough. All right, your next topic in your story.
Yeah.
The headline, Stephon Diggs dilemma.
Mm.
And it is a dilemma because you can't just cut him without knowing how you're going to replace him. And that's the dilemma.
Right. I think that by Friday, Andrew and I were both thinking like, all right, feels a little bit more like he'll be on the team than he might have earlier in the week.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's keeping him the same salary, agreeing to some sort of extension, some sort of reduced whatever it is, doesn't seem like they're like rushing to get rid of Stephon Diggs. Because you do need to know what you would have to replace him. And if you know that you can trade for AJ Brown, then that's one thing. But if you are going to replace him with a second round wide receiver, then that's not exactly replacing him. Just got a comment. Don't these guys turn on their heat, saving electricity, heating oil? I wear a sweatshirt in my house sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like cool. It's like 70 degrees in my house. I think I'm also wearing shorts right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a t-shirt on before this, and the basement's a little cooler, so I threw on a hoodie, and plus I look like a slob. So what are you going to do? So the situation with Diggs, as it stands, if you were to just cut him because of the money and whatever, it would not be addition by subtraction based on 2025 Stephon Diggs. The question is, can you project out that you get the same Stephon Diggs on the field, which you'd probably want a little bit better coming off the knee, but also he'll be 34, so there's a balance there. Considering that, like, would you get the same Stephon Diggs on the field and off the field, given that he's got his legal thing going on, however that plays out, and then just being talked about in a way where the Patriots are clearly open to the idea of cutting him? Does he come back just as motivated and bought in? And is he the same leader? Is he the same attitude?
The one good thing is that the season is months away. But yeah, so I think Stephon Diggs is viewed across the league as, let's call it like a declining player because of his age. I do think that there's a case to be made, as I've made before, that him being another year removed from ACL surgery, even if he is declining, might put him on the same level he was playing at last year. Or maybe even possibly a step above. Who knows? I mean, Wes Welker was a lot younger when he had his torn ACL, but it really took until the next season when he looked like himself again. It wasn't the season after he tore his ACL.
Except for week 1 against the Bengals. He was a monster.
True.
But then that was it.
Yeah, I don't think he had 1,000 yards that season. It was the next year after that he was a lot more productive. Could see something similar with Stephon Diggs where it's like, oh, wow, this is the real Stephon Diggs.
Welker had a week 17 ACL, so that was 7 weeks later.
Sure.
But it does put in perspective how quick that
But I think
was.
Overall, is Stephon Diggs going to have another 1,000-yard season next year? Probably not. But people on the team believe that Stephon Diggs' contract, as it currently stands, would be fair for his level of wide receiver, where he's like a pseudo number one. I think there's still some questions around the team about whether he is a legitimate number one. And I think that's fair to ask after last season, given his age, given everything that we saw. Is this guy still number one? Maybe not. But you're also paying him $20.6 million, which is not the going rate for number one wide receivers. There's a wide receiver in the league making $40 million.
It's true.
So
I think he's due for I want to say the 13th highest receiver salary. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
So technically number one salary,
and then you factor in rookies and yeah.
So
right,
number one in the sense that he'll be considered among the top 32 receivers for whatever that's worth.
I will look at 2026. I'll look at it as we speak right now for his cap number. Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb are both at 38 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, 12th.
Nailed it.
But you've got guys like Jamar Chase below him. As far as cash spent, it's a little bit lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So I said 13 because I just mentally averaged 12 and 14.
You just split the difference there?
Yeah.
That's smart.
So it's obviously not obscene. It's probably an overpay. Does that go into the fact that you paid the suck tax last year and had to overpay everyone and you just got to eat it and live with it? Maybe.
So I would also say, okay, the guys below him right now.
Guys making less money than him?
Guys making less cash than him this season.
Okay.
Chris Godwin.
Godwin maybe cashed?
Calvin Ridley. Like Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, that's a pretty fair level, right?
Yeah.
If you're putting these guys in tiers, that's like a fair tier to be in.
I've seen so many bad things happen to Chris Godwin's legs that it keeps me up at night.
Nico Collins, he's above them. Cortland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, those guys are probably also in the same tier as Stephon Diggs. Drake London, probably a little bit higher. Jacoby Myers, probably around the same tier. Chris Olave, probably around the same tier. Terry McLaurin, Devontae Smith, Cooper Kupp, Jamison Williams. So all of these guys who are directly below him in cash spent, it's not like you're seeing these he's in the right tier there. He's in the right
There's no bums in there.
No, there's no bums, but there's also no guys where you're like, Stephon Diggs is making more than that guy, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Unless they're on a rookie contract.
Sure.
So someone like Puka Nacua, obviously he's making less money.
I believe he makes $30,000 a year, actually. And he has to pay for his own food.
Exactly. So, yeah, the guys on rookie deals, Malik Neighbors, clearly below, Roma Dunze, all those guys. But the guys who are directly around Stephon Diggs, the guys directly above him, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, even that level, I mean, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, those guys are probably in tiers above him. But no, I mean, it's not like when you look at the guys who are around him in cash.
It's not like you wouldn't say, oh my God, how could you pay Stephon Diggs?
No, exactly. And I think that's why they're saying it's pretty fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Andrew in believing there's a better chance that he's on the team because.
But it's not a certainty. It's not a certainty that he's back. But it's like I'm feeling better after this week than maybe I did beforehand.
I think you and I talked right after the Super Bowl, and I was like, I'd move on, but you have to make sure you upgrade. And the second part is as important as the first part. It's not. You're not the same way the Eagles aren't desperate to get rid of AJ Brown. Let me restart that again. The same way the Eagles aren't desperate to give you their best receiver because they'd have to get something massive to make it happen. Like there has to be some sort of reason for it to happen.
Yeah.
All right. I almost said AJ Green.
Wow.
And he's available.
He is very available.
He remains unsigned.
Before we get to our next topic, I do want to talk about Prize Picks because you can shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started. America's #1 app for sports picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We don't have Jason Tatum back yet, but I think he's coming back soon, right? Probably. Seems like it.
He's got a movie. It's all, I don't know how much sports radio you're listening to. It's all this drummed up like drama and storylines and soap opera. And it's like, man, you know what I miss? Football season. But he'll be back. And then he'll play, and then there won't be storylines. There'll just be basketball.
Prize Picks can help you get through until football season. Because when Tatum does come back, you can say if he's getting more than or less than a certain amount of points. You can do it with Jaylen Brown too. You can pit them against each other in your Prize Picks lineups. One more, one less. You can play the Boston sports radio game there. So,
do you have? Can you do more hurt feelings from Jaylen Brown? Because that would be what that would be.
It's certainly possible. Yeah.
All right.
You also got March Madness, so that's fun too. All right. So what's next on the?
You had free agency.
We got a comment here. We got a question.
Oh boy, let's do it.
Is Pittman an upgrade over Diggs? Not like significantly so. He's younger.
Right. Well, that's the thing, and you wouldn't let me do.
Would you trade Stephon Diggs 1-for-1 for Michael Pittman? Yeah. But Pittman hasn't had like a 1,000-yard season in a couple of years, right?
Correct. I do.
He's apply the same 2 in his career.
Okay. I apply the same logic. I might have mentioned it the other day when you wouldn't let me talk about Alec Pierce. Quarterback's a factor in that because I watched Justin Jefferson be completely useless this year without a quarterback. So he had a bad situation there.
Yeah.
The Colts quarterback situation has been bad. Daniel Jones was their quarterback this year. Their number 4 overall pick broke his orbital bone with an elastic band during warmups. Things are bad there. So
I'm sorry for not letting you speak about Alec Pierce. You can talk about.
Well, you said they're probably going to retain him, which was also in the story. So I understand, but that was one. That's like he's presumably the best free agent, theoretically, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it. The fact that you can produce in that offense it's impressive. Yep. So I would apply the same logic to Pittman to a lesser degree.
Do you want to know something that I learned today regarding a human being who was involved in the Colts quarterback situation?
Yes.
I saved this for the podcast. I was about to text it to you.
Oh boy.
And I didn't do it.
Is it about Phil?
Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
It's just a fun fact. This is not going to be anything groundbreaking. It's not breaking news. Philip Rivers still uses an AOL.com email address.
Wow.
Isn't that great? Isn't that fun? Isn't that just a fun fact?
Do you think it does the You Got Mail?
I don't know.
Can you do AOL? Could I get an AOL? Like you got to be grandfathered in.
I think you got to be grandfathered in. Yeah.
That's crazy. I met Gabe Kapler once. He came to my school and I needed his email first and it was AOL. And I was like, damn. And now, Doug, that was 20 years ago. And I was like, damn, that's dated. Here we are. I don't know anyone. Let me search my Gmail real quick for just AOL.com. Although Gmail search is functionally
I think
useless.
there's a Patriots beat writer who still uses an
Oh,
AOL.com.
there sure is.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Do we keep his identity
I
a
think
secret? It's not a bad. It's not
it's
a
totally
bad
up to
thing.
you.
It's not a bad thing if Tom
No.
Curran uses AOL.com. Like it's just he likes his email. Like
If, for instance, Tom Curran
if
used
Tom Curran
AOL.com,
were the
if that was the
one,
guy that we were talking about, then it would not be a
then
big deal.
like we're not like calling him out or putting his like just
if it's him.
If it were him and he
Yeah.
signed up for that email in 1998 and didn't want to get a new one at any point, that makes sense. But
What-
that if it were him, he would be the only person in my entire Gmail history with that.
How much worse is AOL.com, or is it worse than Hotmail.com?
So I don't know. Worse is judgmental, but I think AOL is more bizarre because more people probably had Hotmail. I had Hotmail. I had a newfound.
I had
Hurley.
Hotmail too. Well, I also had AOL.com at some point.
I guess I was more of an AIM guy. I didn't have AOL for that long.
Interesting.
Speaking of a newfound Hurley, Newfound Glory album. Check that one out yet?
I have not heard the whole thing yet.
I just like that Chad's ripping riffs. You know, I like that Chad's out there creating pop punk riffs, and they're in the world. That makes me happy.
Absolutely.
That's my review.
Did you hear the new Menzinger song?
I did.
Pretty good.
It was pretty good. I don't like the phenomenon of just releasing one song. I don't know. You know, bands. It's modern days. All right, free agency. Here's a line I didn't like. I don't know if this was you or Andrew.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go on.
Expect the front office to pursue pass rushers a step below Bengals star Trey Hendrickson, Eagles defensive end Jalen Phillips, and Ravens outside linebacker Odafe Owe. I get it. Breaking the bank on an edge rusher feels like paying for past performance most of the time. But I don't know. Aiming low also feels kind of womp womp.
I think it's just being realistic, and it's still possible that they could land Owe or Phillips if they come in a little bit lower than expected. But I was a little bit surprised, I think, overall, by the tenor of responses to the piece that we wrote, because I felt like it was overall good news. I don't know. I mean, like the idea of trading for AJ Brown, the idea of trading for Max Crosby, the idea of retaining Stephon Diggs. And I don't know. I mean, like this front office, they've just always pursued things the same way. And I think that people perceive it as the Crafts being cheap, but I think it's just the way that they've always done things.
Yeah. And
the Patriots have always historically just spent up to the cap. They don't take many risks when it comes to contracts. They don't typically mortgage the future. They don't typically borrow from the future in order to spend now. And I think that comes from the structure that has been in place for years and years and years. And I don't think it's the Crafts who are doing that. I think that is their cap mantra, I guess I would say. Because no, I mean, like people got mad at the Patriots for not spending more of their cap space last year. And I don't want this to become dog defense Patriots or anything like that. But people got mad that they were like, why aren't they spending that like $40 million they have in cap space right now? And that's like, do you know why they didn't spend that? Because now, even still, they only have $40 million in cap space. So if they'd spent that, then they would have $0 in cap space right now, because all those free agent contracts that they signed are higher the next year, because that's the way that things are always structured. So I would say they're always very smart about their spending. They're always one step ahead. And if they feel like they cannot afford, if Hendrickson or whoever gets out of hand, there's probably a reason for it. So is it going to make people happy? Does it guarantee that they're going to be back in the Super Bowl? No, but I also don't think you need to, like, when you have a quarterback who's entering his third season, I don't think you need to go all in for that third season, assuming he's going to be here for more than 3 seasons, you know? Yeah. That's my piece.
I would add, well done. I would, if I had a soundboard, I'd do a round of applause. Well said. Rare is the team that spends $364 million in free agency one year and then spends a ton the next year. That doesn't feel, and there has been a history for that reason of the team that spends the most in free agency getting like a 5-win pop and then crashing the next year. So I think you have to guard against that. But I don't know that guarding against that is to just keep spending. It's to keep the linear growth that you started progressing in the right direction. So that's the part they have to get right. It's not just by not spending $300 million more dollars that happens. But I don't know. I think last year was such a harsh and aggressive reboot that it was necessary to spend that much. Now you're looking at a roster, you know your players. You're probably not going to turn over 33 guys.
Right.
It's just going to be a little bit more a cautious approach.
And
even
Elliot Wolf told me on the record before the Super Bowl, like Richard Miller, who's the Patriots cap guy, likes to remind them that they spent two off seasons worth of cap money last year. Yeah. So at a certain point, that's going to have to drop off. And I think they're being very realistic that we don't have the same amount of cap space. And they also don't view this free agent class as being as strong as it was last year.
Yeah. And I'm trying to look because like I say, I don't, it's just off-putting to hear they're going to shoot lower than the top of the class. But Trey Hendrickson is obviously coming off an injury-plagued year. You don't know what you're going to get there. He's 30, 31.
Right. Yeah, he's got it up there. Yeah.
Jalen Phillips has missed more time in the last 4 years than anyone, I want to say.
Right.
Good player when he's out there, but I wouldn't say like a break-the-bank type player.
I mean, I might be a fool.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I think this is what you're saying as well. Like, I actually don't think that like Boye Mafe is that far below like a Jalen Phillips or an Odafe Owe.
I always feel like I'd rather get the guy who's next than the guy who's established and is the top of the market. Like that's the goal.
And I think that their goal is to maybe get one of those second tier guys and with hopes that he becomes what Chason was last year. And like you're spending a little bit more, so there's a higher chance that it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Odafe Owe, good player. Jalen Phillips, good player. But like Boye Mafe is a pretty good player as well, that you just saw in the Super Bowl. And he didn't play as many snaps as some of those other guys because the Seahawks were very deep on the edge. But like Milton Williams didn't play a ton of snaps for the Eagles because they had a ton of guys in the middle. And then you get him and he can be a game changer for you.
Yeah.
So it's not a exact or perfect I don't know. Yeah. I think that it's smart, like you said, to sign a guy who's still got a little bit of
upside,
growth,
hasn't
potential.
Like a Caleb on Chason sort of being. I mean, I know he was a first round pick, but production wise, no one was like, "Wow, what a signing!" And then he has the best year of his career. So you want
that Joseph Osai, like another guy who could wind up signing with a new team and then raising his game a significant amount. And obviously, there's some risk there. Maybe they don't live up to it sometimes, but like Milton Williams did last year. So I think they're pretty good at identifying those guys. And the guys that I'm talking about and mentioning are still young. Like Osai is 25, Boye Mafe is 27. So yeah.
Another thing that stood out, speaking of best year of their careers, you get into Jalen Hawkins and a line that I highlighted, quote, let me clear my throat for this one, quote, one AFC team doesn't even view Hawkins as a starting caliber player.
Right.
I know you've got to protect your sources, but I'd really like to know who doesn't think the guy who took 85% of the defensive snaps on a Super Bowl caliber defense isn't a starting NFL safety.
Right.
So what, like, let's say, I don't know if you got that information or if Andrew got that information. Isn't the follow-up what?
I think it is, but I think that, so
sure.
I think that even the Patriots understand this to some degree because Hawkins was signed by the Patriots even last year as like okay, this guy will contribute on special teams, maybe help out on defense the way they did in 2024. And then he raises his game. He's also a little bit older than guys like Caleb on Chason or whatever. I'm not sure if they still see that same level of upside, but for me, if I'm the Patriots, I'm psyched if teams don't view him that way.
Yeah.
Because then you can just sign him for less and he can do what he did last year, you know?
Yeah, I mean that could just be one team,
Right. But
but
I
split
don't
up.
I don't think that Hawkins is going to sign like a 2-year, $20 million deal.
Okay. Yeah, I think you mentioned other names there. You and Andrew mentioned other names.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd prefer Hawkins for the continuity because of just how much you got out of your two safeties. Like you'd
Mm-hmm.
probably want to add depth because again, we talked about it earlier. They had no depth.
Right.
Maybe teams say he played all those snaps because they didn't have any other safeties, but they did have safeties. They just got rid of them.
Well, yeah,
So
because that's another thing that we learned. I'm not sure if it even made it in the
it
piece.
did. No more big boys.
They don't. Yeah. Yes, it did. I remember typing it actually. Like Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar. That's just not the type of safeties that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, Scott Booker, the Patriot safeties coach. Terrell Williams, Zach Orr. Those aren't the kind of guys that they want. They want a left safety and a right safety, guys who can kind of do it all. And Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, those are guys that you prefer playing closer to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. You got into some bad news after that. Some bad news.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrus Tonga is going to make some money.
He will, yeah.
Good news for Kyrus Tonga and the Tonga family.
I know that Mass Live got out ahead of us on this one, but sounds like there were some contract talks in December between the Patriots and Tonga that broke down. And in the grand scheme of things, seems like the Patriots could have had him for cheaper in December than they could now. So we'll see how the market actually plays out because it's only March 1st. Free agency doesn't actually begin until March 9th or something like that.
Something like that.
We'll see how the market actually looks for Tonga, but it looks like he should have some other suitors who might be willing to pay him more than the Patriots could have signed him in December.
Were they trying to sign him while he was hurt? Classic move.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the exact. I just know. Yeah.
Classic move. Like, hey man, we still believe in you. We'll give you a contract.
Right.
Huh? Do you believe in you? But yeah, we talked last podcast when we were talking about Barmore,
right,
and how much money can you invest in the defensive tackle position. Like there is a limit.
Yes.
And
and if you already have Milton Williams and Barmore for a certain amount, then
yeah. Now this is another line. All right, Doug, I'm a football guy, right?
Okay.
I used to play football, not to brag. I was really good. Everyone still talks about it.
This was you. Touchdown.
I did catch a touchdown against Pope John, which might not even exist anymore. So that tells you how good they were.
Stiff arming guys.
Oh, it was a great route I ran. We were on the 7, and it was a 344, which is just I had to run it out. And the corner was playing off. He was 2 yards deep in the end zone. Not good defense. So I ran a 5-yard out, caught the ball, ran the pylon, touchdown. Everyone was like they shot fireworks off. It was crazy. Anyways, played football quite a bit. We had the X, we had the Z, and then the tight end was the Y. Here in this story, a Y just as a blocking tight end and an F as a receiving tight end. Is that something I just missed the memo on? Is that something everyone knows but not me?
Possibly.
An F? F?
Yeah.
We're going to get an F. We're not going to get a Y. So the Patriots, they employ 2 Fs.
They need a Y. They haven't really had a Y.
Tell me this. Does a Y also, like, he's just not a receiver?
I mean, like Gronk was a Y, but it's hard to find a guy who can block and catch as well as you need a Y to do.
Like Who Man? What's Who Man?
Yeah, like Matthew Mulligan was a Y.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne Allen was a Y. Dwayne Allen caught more passes than Who Man.
But Dwayne Allen didn't come to the Patriots as a Y. He was both.
I mean, he was, but you brought him in because he could play Y.
Okay. But I don't know.
And traditionally, like Gronk was the Y and Hernandez was the F. I know we're not supposed to talk about him.
Hernandez was more like a H-back or something.
No, he's like a flex tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's his name? Who was the guy from Gesicki? He's an F.
So just guys that don't block but catch passes but play tight end are Fs.
Yeah, and like Henry can play Y, but he's more of a receiver, you know?
Hooper's an F.
Yeah. They didn't. Those are guys who can do both. They can play in line and they can play off the line.
It's not really their thing, though.
But they really did not have a Y this year, and I mean, Josh McDaniels through the years brought in some like real non-receiving tight ends that I've already talked about. Matthew Mulligan being the one who always comes to mind first for some reason.
Probably because he was targeted by Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game, highlighting a massive failure by the team to build an offensive weaponry core in 2013.
Goalie 2552 Bennett was our blocking tight end for a while too. Yeah, he was a Y, but like college teams don't really use Y tight ends anymore.
Yeah,
so that's why it's hard to find them. That's why it's hard to find a Y in college. And one, I'd call them like a tight end expert that we were talking to at the combine, said there's really only like one Y tight end in this draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the other Ohio State tight end.
Kids don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
Would you, if you're a kid, Alpha, like Rob Gronkowski was a 1 in a million. Like, you want to be Travis Kelce. You want to run your routes. You want to catch your balls. You want to score your touchdowns.
Yeah.
You don't want to block. There's no stat for it.
Right. But there are some guys in free agency that they could sign. Charlie Kolar, Cade Otton. As a University of Washington fan, I've got some sort of, I have a helmet up here somewhere. I can't find it. Cade Otton, always liked him at UW. So he could come in.
He's been good in Tampa too.
Do a little bit of both. Yeah, and he's a guy that you look at and you're like, he could probably grow a little bit in the NFL. You know, his best years might be in front of him.
What was he, like a 2021 draft pick?
He played with Brady, so
could be 21 or 22.
Yeah, 21 maybe. 20 or 21. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if he played 4 years, 21 we'll call it. Nope, 22 we'll call it. See how quickly I did that math?
He was drafted in 2022.
Yeah, I figured that out.
And he's played a decent amount of football. Bigger guy, 6'5", 250.
All right.
He could pair well with Hunter Henry out there. You need a younger guy, and he's 26. Yeah.
We kind of did the Barmore thing last podcast. Can we skip it? Anything new?
I think the new thing is that it just feels more like they're going to be willing to bring him back.
Okay. Got it.
So I have more confidence now than I did the last time we podcast that he'll be a member of the team. Another one where they feel like the contract's fair. Like, who knows? One person said to us, like, the only guys on the roster who are truly safe are the quarterback and the cornerback. Anyone else, who knows what could happen there? Like, they don't want to make any guarantees about anyone else.
Sure.
But Barmore, contract, $12 million, really not that crazy. And they really wanted to split like the player and the legal issues as much as they could right now, because like they don't really know what to say about the legal issues until they get resolved. But yeah, I don't think, yeah.
All right. Now I can bring up what I wanted to bring up. You guys got into the report card, the NFLPA report card.
Yes.
And the team plane coming under fire, which has been described by people as feeling, quote, borderline unsafe. Current staffers describe a sense of unease whenever they land for road games. I heard this last year. I need to know what's going on in this airplane. Like, how I've never been on an airplane in my life where people have unease about whether it's going to just break into pieces once the wheels touch down. Like, what is going on in there?
It's just an old plane, I think, ultimately. And it's like, I don't know at what point the Crafts would want to buy a new plane, but they've had this one for a decent amount of time. I think I mean, there must be news reports about when they bought it, right? Was it 10 years ago now? How long ago was it?
I can look it up if you want to finish your point.
I think that just because it's an older plane, like, I don't know, because I've never been on it and I'm not an airplane expert.
2017, they bought them.
So they've had it for about 10 years, almost 10 years. I don't know, do like shocks wear down on planes? I truly don't know. But I do know that whenever you talk to someone about the plane, they're like, oh yeah, I mean, like, some of those landings are not fun, not great, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be incorrect, but they're not 10-year-old planes. Like, they bought them used and they were.
Oh, no, 100%.
I don't remember exactly how old they are, but it's not new, obviously. There's parts I don't understand. Like, can't they put Wi-Fi in it? Is an old plane incapable of supporting a Wi-Fi system? I don't know, but I feel like we do have the technology for that.
So I don't know this for a fact. I'm looking at Google right now.
Yeah.
It says the New England Patriots 2 Boeing 767-300ER private jets were manufactured in 1991.
Yeah, that's pretty old. That's not quite class of 86, but pretty old.
But that is from Google.
It sounds right though. It sounds correct from what I remember.
Right.
In my previous life as a newsman.
Don't hold me to it. That's just Google saying it.
That's just Captain Google. How come when we talk about Google...
I will say though, like,
wait,
I think Wi-Fi on planes is tricky though, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
because you ride on planes.
It's true. I do it.
I feel like half the time on a plane, Wi-Fi doesn't work. And obviously you'd prefer it to be better. You'd prefer it to be a first class experience throughout the plane. But like, there's something going on up there in the sky with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't really know how it works. That's less of the issue than just worrying that like the bolts are going to shoot out when you hit the ground. Like that's, and weren't they? There was the quote in there that they like the international games more because they have to take another plane.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. This feels like last year there was the facilities failed, the treatment of families failed, and Kraft quickly went to work, and now those are being addressed.
Right.
And now instead of the Patriots getting it, it's the Bengals, I believe, with the F- treatment of it's so funny when a team gets an F- treatment of families. It's like, hey, I'm the linebacker's dad, and like someone from the team just slaps him in the neck. Like, is that like how an F- treatment of families is the funniest thing that ever comes out of these. But this is the one that for the Patriots is getting all the focus this year. What does he do?
You just gotta like either you have to buy
charter?
a new plane, which is not cheap, or you have to make plans to buy a new plane, or say like, hey, we've gotten 9 years out of these planes. Let's start doing commercial again or whatever, you know? Yeah.
I just saw in that story, they said used planes like this can cost anywhere between $5 and $65 million, whereas a new plane costs $200 million. Maybe just charter. I don't know what the charter is going to cost you for the season, but probably less than 65.
You don't want your plane to be like a laughing stock. You know what I mean?
Of all things that you'd like.
It's something that people fear. Trevion Henderson was asked what his biggest fear was around the Super Bowl. And he said it was flying. He said that he wishes that he could drive everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if those two things are related, but
I don't know, but
people do have a fear of flying. So you don't want your plane to add to that fear.
I've heard a criticism too, because in the fight between millionaires and billionaires, it's always jolting how many people take the billionaire side automatically. And I've heard people like these spoiled athletes, blah, blah, blah. And one of the criticisms was like, how many teams do they even play for? It's like, well, this year's team was, I don't know, 70% guys that have played for other teams, right?
Other team, yeah.
You did have a number of draft picks contribute, but it just, you had at least, I want to say 70% of the roster has played for other teams and has traveled through other teams and knows what so it's not as if you just have guys that were drafted and developed by the Patriots who are like, this plane stinks. Right. It's guys that have done it and see that this one is not quite as good.
So when you said $50 to $65 million, I would have guessed way lower than that to buy a
5 to 65
commercial plane.
5 to 65.
Oh, 5 to 65.
So a real piece of crap you could get for $5 million.
But a new one is like
200. That was also 2017. So I'm guessing a new one's probably 300 now, based on how much stuff costs. I don't know if anyone's covered this in the news media. Stuff is more expensive now.
You know what? Do you know what's more expensive these days?
Everything, Doug.
You know I'm about to get serious when I move the mic closer to my face for this.
Hats.
Desserts. You go to a restaurant, a slice of pie, a slice of cake, it's going to run you $12 to $15.
Why don't you just go to the supermarket on the way home at that rate? You can get a whole pie.
Like, that
used to be $4.99.
Crazy. Desserts at restaurants should be $6 to $8. But routinely now, I am seeing them be 15, 12. Like,
That's crazy.
There's a restaurant on the Cape. I know that sometimes Cape prices are a little bit higher. They had churros for a dessert. We did not go to this restaurant, but I looked at the menu. How much do you think churros at a restaurant should be?
$7.99.
They were $12.
Yeah, that's too much. That's
You
a
can get a
crispy
churro
snack.
at Disney World for like $6.
Yeah, if Disney World's beating
It's
your
big,
price,
it's long.
you've done something wrong. Whoa.
It's true.
Let me ask you this one. You might be out with the fellas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you might be like, yeah, let me get a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Fountain soda.
Yep.
Forever. That's like $2.99.
Mm.
I don't think you're getting it for $2.99 anymore. You tell me.
I feel like they don't even list the price for those anymore.
Yeah, I saw a tweet and they're like, "Oh, Gen Z isn't drinking anymore." Boom, $7 Diet Coke at the bar.
Usually, I feel like they're still around $5, which is more than I'd like. But
I mean, it's just
yeah,
syrup and water.
$3 should be what it is.
$3 is too much.
When we were at the owners' meetings last year, I got a soda water at the bar, and they charged $5 for it. That's just
water with bubbles.
That's just bubbles. You're just paying for bubbles.
It ain't right. Yeah. You know what I was thinking while we're on it? I was watching the documentary on the making of Disneyland. I guess I am a Disney adult based on the last podcast, but I just put it on because the kids there's so little options when the kids are around, like stuff that I want. So I
put on Legends of the Hidden Temple today.
Oh, that's a good one. You're a P+ subscriber?
No, that's Paramount Plus. Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know you're P+.
We got everything.
I used to get P+ for free. I haven't subscribed since then. But I'm watching, right? And for whatever reason, I was thinking, like, when you were around in like the 50s, I feel like you could take your kids to like the aquarium and pay a fair rate. And now, if you want to go to the aquarium,
no way,
you have to budget it. It's going to cost like $117 to get in the door, and you're like, I don't know. Everyone's out to screw you now. Everyone is just out to steal your money.
Christmas time too. Like, the zoo lights or whatever. Like, all right, that'll be $35. What?
I know. We went and it was bitterly cold. Yeah. Once the sun went down at 4, it was frigid. Like everyone froze. We were there probably 40 minutes, and I think we paid like $100. I don't even know what we paid, but it was to look at twinkly lights.
And like, I know people talk about Disney World prices, but like, you're getting exponentially more entertainment and fun out of a day at Disney World than you are a day at Zoo Lights.
But it's also $1,000 for a family.
No, I know.
Walk in the door.
But it's, I am not trying to defend Disney prices.
You're like, the Patriots just handle their cap perfectly. The Walt Disney Corporation has appropriate pricing. I'm done.
Everyone is fine.
Yeah. I did have another.
Billionaires are right. Yeah.
I had one more quote that stood out to me. Is about Mac Hollins lacerating his spleen on the first play of the Ravens game, and yet going on to finish with 7 catches for 69 yards. He actually wanted to avoid injured reserve and felt he could play through the ailment.
He was mad he couldn't keep playing.
Buddy, I know he's a different cat, right?
Yeah.
But when I hear lacerated spleen, I say, oh no. He says, suit me up. I want to play football where people are going to try to kill me every time I go up to catch a ball.
I know that people see him dressing like the guy from the Warriors, or who was he? What's his name? Silence of the Lambs guy.
Hannibal
Lecter. Like, obviously to some degree it is an act, but he really is that way. Yeah. Like, he's not putting on an act. That's who he is. And if you don't like that about him, if you don't like who he is, that's fine. Not everyone needs to like everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's doing it for attention. I think he's doing it because that's just the way he chooses to be and is. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're, I don't know, lacerated spleen, just say it out loud. You can't play football. You can't play NFL football with. Maybe you play flag football. Probably wouldn't recommend that either. But I don't know. He's also a guy, I feel like he plays almost nude. I feel like his pads are way up high.
Right.
And he always likes to go up with his arms extended. Like, that's just crazy to me. That's wild.
It does feel like he's a guy who will finally stick around in the same place for 2 years in a row. Because he hasn't done that in a few years now. But talking to someone close to him, they feel like he's someone who, like, despite his age, can keep playing at a high level too, just because he didn't play a whole lot early in his career, and he truly does stay in phenomenal shape
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, he's
So
not getting fat.
no, I can't imagine. I would say as far as players he probably has the lowest body fat percentage on the team.
That'd be a fun thing to publish. Put that in the report. Maybe the owners should do that. We are NFL owners report card. We're publishing players' body fat percentages, who's late, who lifts the least amount of weights, who benches the least.
I think Hollins would probably be number one.
All the
Trevian
receivers.
Henderson would be up there.
Anyone that
Christian Gonzalez would be up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, anyone that handles the ball.
Well, not everyone, because like running backs have some meat on them.
Yeah, all right. Like
Diggs'
Pop
body
Douglas,
fat is probably pretty low.
Diggs, Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that stood out.
Tight ends have to have some meat on them. Linebackers do.
Yeah.
Craig Woodson would be up there.
Do you know who? I don't know if we're supposed to do this in the locker room. In all my years in the Patriots locker room,
Caleb on Chason would be up there too.
Do you know who looked the most ripped at his
Andre
locker?
Carter.
So he was enormous. So yeah, I guess he was like an action figure. So
yeah.
But just in terms of a guy you see and you're like, that man is infinite. Like the way you would say he was in the zero. This guy was 0.0% body fat.
Right.
You'd never guess. Chad Jackson.
Oh, interesting.
Was like, wow, if he could catch.
I saw he did an interview recently. He was on
Chad
like a
Jackson.
podcast. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever heard him speak because I never crossed paths with him in the locker room.
It was a long time ago. I was probably an intern. I think I was an intern for WPRI in Rhode Island.
Wow.
And the one last line.
Part of your past, part of your history.
They had our they were like, hey, what'd you see in the locker room? I'm like, Chad Jackson. One last line. You had the Patriots probably not interested in Wan'Dale Robinson because he's too short. Doesn't spell,
too small.
Doesn't too small. Like the I think you should leave sketch. Doesn't really spell positivity for Pop Douglas getting an increased role next year because you talked about him the other day.
Right, but I mean, I think that's also just kind of like, well, we already have Pop Douglas. You know?
Okay. I was just curious if they're like, we're done with short people.
I don't know if we're done with short people, but like we've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast. The history of short wide receivers is not one of great production. We've like ran the numbers of like it's Cole Beasley and almost no one else.
What about Welker?
He wasn't that short. He was 5'9". He was not 5'8". And I know that that's a hard cutoff to set.
Was he 5'9"?
Listen, we've got the draft scout numbers.
Was he 5'9"?
We can do this.
Am I 5'9"?
I mean, you did catch that touchdown once, so that alone. God,
I was very. They called me. They said that kid.
Wes Welker at his pro day was 5'8" and 6/8, so he was round up to 5'9".
That was so many years ago. He probably had multiple pairs of shoes on and they didn't catch him. So.
Did you see Chris Hogan was on a podcast recently, and he said that he fudged the vertical leap by he was wearing baggy sweatpants, and when they like had him lift his arm, he like bent his knees a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You would think baggy sweatpants would be a detriment.
Yeah.
Anyways, we made it through your story. There was the last line. Their last line confused me. One team evaluator hoped to upgrade the fullback position mid-season, which could open the door to a free agent addition like Patrick Ricard or Reggie Gilliam. What?
I think it was just kind of like,
so in the middle of the year, they were
probably
like,
could have used a better fullback. But I also think Westover improved as the year went on. Not to say he's going to be the fullback next year, but
yeah, I think you need a better blocking tight end than a fullback because it's
right. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm biased because he's the UW guy, but he delivered a really good block, I think, against the Ravens. He was someone who got better as the year went along, and like, what was he a top fullback in the league? No, but he's got some athleticism too, and I know he's got some fans in the building. So, but no, there were some people who thought at midseason, like, yeah, we could probably use a better fullback.
Okay, I got it now. All right, there's your story. How many words?
There's the story. Puppy? Yeah, we worked hard on it. Thanks for reading it. Thanks to everyone for commenting on it. I think there's things to be positive about. There's things that you can be negative about. I was surprised how negative everyone got, but that's just the subset of Twitter too. So it is what it is.
Do you ever grab the Sunday paper? You ever when you get a big one?
If I am at a store, I did not do it this time.
I want to when I go to Market Basket and there's like a Patriots story on the front page. I want to like stand next to the rack and be like, "Hey, extra, read all about it." I know him.
I did that when my first paper. I've probably said this before, but the first time I was in the Herald, this is me, why I joined, blah blah blah. My picture was in there, so I went to Shaw's with Olivia, and I was like, "Oh, look at this," and then I turned to her, I was like, "That's me," and she was like, "Oh my god!" She flipped out. It was great.
It was like being Taylor Swift in the Teen Beat magazine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty
Hottest new reporter.
Who's he dating?
Herald Land stud.
On that note, we actually mixed in our post 45-minute stuff seamlessly throughout the show.
We really did.
Pretty great. Like unprompted. We're getting good at podcasting.
Did you see the Mekhi Lemon, the USC wide receiver?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Who was talking like this,
looking up at the sky.
That was pretty wild.
That was pretty weird.
And there was some reports. I don't know how legitimate they were, and I didn't talk to anyone. These were just on Twitter that you didn't interview well. And so, well, yeah, if he was talking like that, that would probably weird some teams out. But I don't know how the Patriots feel about him. But if you fell to 31, that probably wouldn't be the worst thing for them.
Yeah, that was pretty strange. I have one last thing. So
I have one last thing too. You do your last thing first.
No, you go first.
Okay, my last thing was that I was probably on Twitter a little bit too much today. We were on the Cape. We were killing some time. And it happened yesterday too. People were freaking out about not enough people being there to talk to the offensive linemen on Saturday at the Combine.
Yeah, and then a lot of people came back like, well, it's just logistics. You got to get out of there. And it's like, this isn't really an issue in America, but all right.
It's just one of those things where I was even thinking NFL players must go through this all the time, where you see something on the internet and you're like, that's just not true. And then you just you're like, do I comment about this? No, probably best not to. But as a lot of people said, head coaches and GMs talk on Tuesday and Wednesday. So you arrive at the Combine, you arrive in Indianapolis on Monday. No one wants to stay until Sunday. Also, it's the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a
party boy Doug.
Well, it's more so Family Guy Doug. If I can leave the Combine on Friday and go back to my family and spend the weekend with them, it's not even really a money thing. It is more of a logistical thing. And obviously I'm not complaining about this by any means. NFL reporters work on the weekends. That's part of the job. That's what you sign up for. That's what it is. You work on Sundays for half of the year.
Right.
I'm not really dying to work on a Saturday or Sunday during the off season too. That would be a little oh, sorry, family, I have to talk to the offensive line. And it is a logistical thing to some degree because do stories on offensive linemen pay the bills for going to the Combine? No, the 2,000 word, what are the Patriots doing stories pay for going to the Combine, and talking to Wolf and Vrabel do. So that's a Combine problem. If they want people to stick around, they got to have them talk on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. I don't want to be rude to the offensive line community.
Right.
Specifically as it relates to offensive line prospects.
Right.
You talk to one. If you talk to one, you've talked to them all.
And
you're not going to get really a character in the offensive line press conference.
I'm going to let you in on a little bit of secret here too.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a badge of honor.
Mm.
I didn't talk to a prospect this year.
Interesting. Well,
there's people who do. There's people who, that's why they go to the Combine.
Yeah, it's such a
Andrew and I
year.
go to the Combine for a different reason. So
last year, I bet you talked to prospects because they had the number 4 overall pick.
Can't guarantee it.
All right. You didn't go to Will Campbell on Saturday?
Can't guarantee it.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah.
All right.
Is what it is. What was your last thing?
So I wanted to save it for last because people might tune out if they don't want to. It's not a movie spoiler, but it sort of is.
Uh-oh.
So have you seen The Smashing Machine starring my friend Dwayne Johnson?
No, I've not.
Do you plan on it?
Probably.
All right. I won't. I'll navigate my way around it without even gently spoiling anything. Okay. good movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie. This is your homework. But before we do another podcast, watch the movie. It's missing one critical element that movies usually have.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a pretty significant factor, in my opinion. So we can talk about it. That can be our post 1 hour conversation next time we podcast.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. All right.
And everyone listening,
when we ended this podcast. So
everyone listening has to watch it too.
All right. Everyone listening has to watch it. I'm going to watch it. Everyone's going to watch it. Goodbye. We'll talk to you later.